Top 10 Ways Coronavirus Will Change Your Life Forever. Uniformity. Student of history Walter Scheidel once said, was just at any point delivered in distress of now, COVID-19 is moving through the world and the worldwide economy gives off an impression of being falling. This, undoubtedly, is one of those seasons of distress period when our lives are overturned and loaded up with vulnerability. Be that as it may, as an ever-increasing number of individuals change in accordance with life in isolation, we are beginning what's turning into a worldwide social test. Thoughts that we just discussed in the prior years are being placed enthusiastically for a gigantic scope. This will be a troublesome time, but at the same time it's setting off to the flash of some unbelievable changes. 10. Working from home. Before COVID-19, just 7% of American specialists had the alternative to work from home. That doesn't imply that 7% were telecommuting, it just implies that 93% of Americans were informed that it could never be a choice. Today, telecommuting is a need. There are no hard insights on what number of individuals are working remotely around the globe. However, the organization Cisco has said that in China, their video conferencing programming has been considering 22% to be as much traffic as it did before the outbreak. The world is occupied with a worldwide work-from-home trial. And we're going to see direct exactly how feasible it is. There are as of now concentrates on this, and the outcomes are exceptionally positive. One found that individuals telecommuting have 16.8 more days worth of profitability a year. Those investigations have consistently been out there. Yet in the event that businesses see the outcomes direct for themselves, there will be no denying that letting individuals keep telecommuting after the pandemic is over won't send them bankrupt. What's more, that could be extraordinary for our life fulfillment. The normal drive to work has expanded by 20 minutes over the past decade, and specialists state that those 20 minutes influence work fulfillment as much as a 19% cut in pay. 9. Universal Essential Salary. A couple of months back, all-inclusive fundamental pay appeared to be an unrealistic fantasy. Sending each individual in a nation a month-to-month check, regardless of whether they don't go to work, was beginning to manifest on the odd battlefield. However, in many nations, it didn't seem like anything we'd perceive at any point in the near future. However, for the following scarcely any months, it will be a reality. The United Kingdom has focused on paying 80% of its laborers' salaries, while Denmark has offered to pay upward to 90%. And even the United States is anticipating sending a $1,200 check to pretty much every grown-up American. None of these plans are actually equivalent to widespread fundamental pay, however they're close. They're going to adequately be dry trials on how these arrangements truly influence society. It's too soon to state what the outcome will be. Finland attempted all-inclusive fundamental salaries in 2017 and 2018 and reasoned that it left individuals upbeat, however jobless, which may be what we find in the remainder of the world, also. Be that as it may, somehow, these discussions will be much less hypothetical when the pandemic is finished. 8. Automation. One of the parts COVID-19 has hit the hardest is producing. Anybody working in an industrial facility is a fantastically predicament. Working remotely isn't an alternative when you work with your hands, however, for certain manufacturing plants, nor is remaining at home. However, for alleged lights-out industrial facilities that are worked totally by robots, a sickness isn't even an issue. Organizations that utilization more mechanization are as of now showing improvement over those that depend on packing human laborers into a firmly pressed factory, and organizations are beginning to take note. Kaha Robotics, for instance, has said that they've seen a 25% expansion in requests in the previous 30 days alone. We can anticipate that a ton of assembling organizations should go to computerization to endure, and a ton of different organizations, as well. China has just begun supplanting conveyance drivers with drones. And they're revealing that they're quicker and more secure than human laborers. They've even tried different things with automated hospitals, where the machines take your temperature, convey your suppers, and sanitize your space to shield people from coming into contact with somebody conveying a sickness. When this pandemic is finished, your activity could very well have been filled by a robot. 7. Online learning. Schools are closing down in about each nation that is seen as an episode of COVID-19. And that is driving guardians into educators into a different time of instruction. For the following barely any months, internet learning will be the standard. Regardless of how technically knowledgeable your instructor is, they will need to figure out how to make training advanced. Given early responses, it's improbable that we'll see a boundless selection of online instruction when this is finished. Criticism from instructors, up until now, has been all around negative. The serious issue is that web-based learning mixes disadvantages. Children whose guardians don't have the opportunity to push them on their training fall further behind, while the individuals who can't manage the cost of the web get to are prohibited. All things considered, each educator on the planet is getting an intense training in 21st century learning. They're ensured to return with thoughts that will change how our children learn. At any rate, for the children that return, a great deal of guardians are going to homeschooling, and since self-taught kids ordinarily score higher on government-sanctioned tests than kids in open schools, there's a decent possibility that a ton of those guardians will choose to stay with it. 6. The ascent of huge government. There are no libertarians in a pandemic, Meghan McCain has of late said. Regardless of whether that is something to be thankful for or not is up to discuss, yet positive or negative, there's a ton of motivation to accept that it's valid. Around the globe, individuals have been grasping huge government since the time COVID-19 started to spread. Communist arrangements are being executed all around the globe, even in nations drove by traditionalist and libertarian pioneers. The US government is anticipating burning through $1 trillion. Battling COVID-19, while the United Kingdom's Boris Johnson has said that there's no roof to the amount they'll spend. Enormous governments making a rebound, and in certain spots, it's in truly outrageous ways. The Israeli government has begun utilizing its kin's phone area information to distinguish everybody who has interacted with a contaminated patient. If you've been close to them, you'll get a book instructing you to isolate yourself right away. McCain's being hyperbolic. There are still libertarians, yet their voices are being quieted. What's more, regardless of whether the hands-off government returns style when this is finished, there will undoubtedly be a couple of bills passed that, before COVID-19, never would have endured. 5. Voting via mail. On April 15, with a pandemic assaulting their nation, the individuals of South Korea will need to arrange outside of stalls and cast their votes in the 2020 election. It will be an immense issue, and the nation hasn't generally had the opportunity to respond. Up until now, their answer is dreadful. They will expect voters to wear veils and dispensable gloves, and they're going to check everybody's temperatures previously permitting them to enter. It will be a debacle. We can rely on the voter turnout being appalling, and it will be a reminder of the world. It's particularly going to influence the United States, where primaries are as of now in progress and a government political decision is planned for November. Americans will need to change their democratic principles this year, and we can anticipate that those progressions should be lasting. 2 out of 3 Americans as of now state they're stressed over democratic in person, and some areas of now battling for change. Texas Democrats have documented a claim for the option to cast a ballot via mail, while different states are urging individuals to only mail in their ballots, which could be incredible for the majority rules system. At the point when Utah presented casting a ballot via mail, they saw a 7% expansion in voter turnout. 4. The passing of independent ventures. A great deal of organizations are being hit hard at this moment, yet no one as hard as bars and eateries. France, Spain, Italy, Germany and the United Kingdom are only a couple of nations that have closed down all bars and restaurants. And in nations that haven't ordered it, barely any individuals are deciding to go out for drinks. For the following barely any months, these organizations and their workers will be deprived of any income stream that doesn't originate from the administration. A ton of them won't be ready to endure it. J.P. Morgan predicts that the normal independent company might have the option to endure 27 days of this before going bankrupt. That is going to change the substance of our reality, because, while a great deal of nearby bars won't endure, the enormous organizations will continue. At the point when individuals get a hunger to go living like royalty once more, and when servers begin searching for work once more, the large chains will even now be there. McDonald's will endure the hardship, and that will reshape our reality. Right now, about half of Americans work for little businesses. But when this is finished, that rate will presumably be a ton lower. 3. The finish of dependence on China. COVID-19 couldn't come at a more terrible energy for China. They were in a fierce exchange war, and COVID-19 has aggravated things a great deal. Up to this point, the world has depended on China as its assembling center point. They make 20% of the world's goods more than some other nation on earth, and they have a significantly greater job in social insurance. 90% of America's anti-infection agents originate from China, yet, as China has gone under isolate and has battled to keep up its pace, it's become progressively clear exactly that it is so hazardous to depend on a solitary area to supply the world. The world is battling with a lack of ventilators and face covers. And it's simply not attainable to depend on China to deal with it all alone, particularly when they've been perhaps the hardest nation hit. Several nations are as of now beginning to bring producing once more into their own outskirts, while others are looking at spreading out their assembling to a few diverse places. Right now we truly must choose between limited options. We will need to begin depending on different nations for assembling, and that is going to hurt China long after the pandemic is over. 2. Free and general social insurance. After the Spanish flu of 1918, nations around the globe, creator Laura Spinney says, grasped the idea of associated medicine. It was one of the enduring effects of the last incredible worldwide pandemic. Individuals began to understand that the well-being of the poor influenced everybody, and the primary conversations that would prompt all-inclusive human services began. There are just a bunch of nations that don't have general social insurance today. And one created country, yet this could be the minute that drives the remainder of the world into free healthcare. 41% of Americans as of now state that they are bound to help widespread medicinal services in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. And arrangements appear to push that weight too. The US has just vowed to let individuals get tried for the coronavirus free of charge, and a few legislators are pushing to make treatment free, as well. If treatment isn't made free before the pandemic's finished, we're certain to see more individuals requesting it. A few people have been getting back home with bills as high as $35,000 for treatment, and it is extremely unlikely that those individuals won't wind up requesting changes. 1. A new political uprising. COVID-19 is hitting our well-being hard, yet it's hitting our economy much harder. As indicated by experts at J.P. Morgan Chase, there is no longer uncertainty. We presently believe that the COVID-19 stun will deliver a worldwide recession. A parcel of individuals will lose their positions. That examiner predicts that 400,000 Americans will get jobless in the following not many weeks alone. Furthermore, before this is finished, it could be far more atrocious. Another examiner accepts that before this over, 7.4 million individuals in the relaxation and accommodation industry will be unemployed. It's poor people who will be hit hardest of all, while office laborers will be ready to work remotely from home. It'll for the most part be servers and stockroom laborers that endure this present pandemic. That will be agonizing. However, as Scheidel stated, the balance was just at any point delivered in sorrow. We will gain so much from this experience, and once we realize what the genuine exercise of COVID-19 is, individuals will be requesting the change. Specialists are now foreseeing an insurgency, one that expert Kathy O'Neill has depicted as Possess Wall Street 2.0. COVID-19 is going to scrutinize us. However, when that test is finished, we will have a superior comprehension of the breaks in our social orders. Furthermore, in case we're fortunate, our reality could conceivably end up a superior spot.